Get this, Sprint hasn't even released 4G LTE in any markets just yet, although it's coming later this year. But what they are doing, they're releasing a bunch of 4G LTE devices into the market. How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com. This is Sprint's $99 LG Viper 4G LTE handset. You know what we do in PhoneDog land? We do some reviews. It's review time. Viper 4G LTE. Let's do it. It's the LG Viper. It's Sprint's entry-level 4G LTE device. Now the downside is 4G LTE isn't rolled out anywhere yet. It's not available in any market just yet. It's coming to 6 markets by mid-year and coming to all of the nation if Sprint can keep their timetable intact by 2013. So it's coming soon, but again, not rolled out yet. And I think that's going to create some confusion for customers that are migrating from, let's say, the Epic 4G Touch or migrating from the EVO 4G, and they're used to having, 4G speeds. WiMAX is definitely 4G. And they're used to that, and then they go back to 3G before they can go to 4G again. So it's like 3G, 4G, then back to 3G, then back to 4G. And I think they're going to say, what's going on? I think that's going to be a point of confusion that Sprint's going to have to address on the retail level. But otherwise, LTE is going to be awesome. 3G speeds haven't been the best, but we'll talk more about that in the full review. But first, some love to Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with phones like the Viper 4G LTE for use in our one-paw bandit game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They're going to help you set up your email, your web, your Google Plus settings, your call settings, your contacts, your email, and more on this bad boy. So when you walk out the door, you don't have to waste your time dealing with the settings. That's a pretty cool feature. It's only available at Best Buy Mobile, and they do a great job with it, so be sure to check them out. This bad boy, $99.99. I don't know why I keep calling it a bad boy, but it could be a bad girl. I don't want to discriminate like that. You never know. But this bad individual has a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S3 processor. It's got a 4-inch display with 480 by 800 pixels. It's got a 5-megapixel camera on the back with 1080p HD video recording, and you can see it looks a lot like the LG Lucid on Verizon Wireless. That's because it's a very similar device, although this one has stock Gingerbread, Android 2.3 out of the box, with a few minor LG customizations, which we'll show off in just a second, but otherwise nothing too major. And some different design cues here. You've got this nice metal back, or I shouldn't say it's metal, it's plastic actually, but it looks like metal on the back, and you've got some nice chrome accents around the sides. It actually looks a lot like kind of a smaller, chunkier G2X on T-Mobile, and you can see how it fits in the hand. Compare this to something like the HTC One X, and you can really see the size difference between the two units here. Obviously this one, a little bit harder to hold in the hand with that 4.7-inch display. Then you have this over here, a little bit easier to hold in the hand, but a little bit, I wouldn't say on the bulky side, but just a little bit kind of small and chunky is the vibe that I get from this device. But hey, $100, you really can't go wrong with that. Like I said, Android 2.3 out of the box here, but you're going to see some LG customizations. You'll notice that the camera and camcorder icons there are LG icons and not stock Gingerbread. I'm so used to saying ice cream sandwich. It's kind of hard to go back and say Gingerbread, but those aren't stock Gingerbread icons. Those are stock LG icons. But you got that. Then you have Google Plus, of course, and Google Plus Messenger integration. That's something that they're adding to recent Android handsets. Then you have the Sprint stuff. NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. You got Google Shopper, which is new Smart Share. You got Sprint ID, Sprint TV and Movies, Sprint Zone, Telenav GPS Navigator, Visual Voicemail, Google Wallet, and then of course some stuff I've downloaded, Weather Channel, Yelp, my time with the handset. Then you have Polaris Office and more. So you've got a couple of different goodies in here, but you can see most of the Sprint stuff can be uninstalled. We'll go into settings, and I did this in the unboxing, but this gives you an idea as well as to how the settings menu looks. You've got your roaming capabilities here where I can go in and say, okay, roam guards, I can do domestic voice, domestic data, international voice, international data, and then you can go in here and you'll notice that activate device is an option in the settings as well, along with a dedicated system updates button there. Now we can go down here. Actually, let's scroll back up and take a look here at applications. We'll go into manage applications and see, for example, we'll go to all, and then we'll go to Sprint. We'll go down to Sprint stuff here. And well, we'll go to Telenav GPS Navigator, for example. Don't want it? You can uninstall it, and it's gone. So that's nice. Most of the Sprint stuff can be uninstalled, so Sprint's doing a decent job here of kind of listening to their consumers and saying, hey, you don't want the bloatware? You can uninstall the bloatware and move on. That said, it has Google Wallet and Google Shopper, like I said, so that's a nice little addition. We'll open up Google Wallet so you can take a look here and see No longer supported. We need to download the latest version. Thankfully, I'm on Wi-Fi. You know how much I hate doing reviews on Wi-Fi, but Sprint's 3G is so terrible right now, and we'll talk about that more in part 2, but it's so terrible that I kind of have to resort to Wi-Fi for stuff like this because it's taking anywhere from 4 to 7 minutes to download applications, which is absolutely unacceptable, but we'll talk about that. Since we're in part 1, let's take a look at the App Store here. Google Play, as it's called now, and you can see, of course, screenshots of the actual application here, so you can see those, and we can go back by hitting the back button. You've got your 4 buttons down here, which are going to be kind of hard to see on the camera. Let's see if I can get those to light up, and let's see if we can get those focus on those a little bit more. There we go. Home, menu, and then back and search, as you can see. But Google Play here, and you've got Yelp, for example. And then you've got down here your allow automatic updating, which you can check and it'll automatically update that application as opposed to letting you know that, hey, there's an update available. You can do it as kind of a one-stop shop where you can click it, don't have to worry about it going forward. Rate and review, what's new, description. You got your star ratings, and of course your open and uninstall buttons up top, along with the ability to share and search for specific applications. Now, Google Play is intended to be a one-stop shop in a lot of ways. So we can come over here out of applications and you can see apps, music, books, and movies. So you can download books, you can do a lot of different stuff and find what's popular right now in the book department, as well as movies and music, and then of course apps. Also, let's take a look at messaging, and bear with me, I'm going to remove some of these messages here. Actually, I'm just going to go straight into a message because I put the number on YouTube in the unboxing a couple of days ago. A lot of people have been texting, so thanks for your text. I always enjoy hearing from you guys, but I don't want to show any of those numbers on camera. So we'll just say the Quick Brown Fox, and before we type that, out of the box you get 2 keyboards, Android keyboard and swipe. So you get 2 options out of the box. You can always download alternatives from Google Play, stuff like SwiftKey, there's an ice cream sandwich keyboard in there and more. But if swipe's your thing, it's pre-installed along with the stock Gingerbread keyboard. Now you can see portrait to landscape transitions, really nice and solid here. Again, you've got a pretty stock build of Gingerbread here, so nothing running atop, no LG custom user interface or anything like that. So for the most part, this dual-core 1.2 gigahertz processor really works well on this device, combined with the stock build of Android 2.3. So we'll say the Quick Brown Fox. What are we going to say about the Fox? Let's see. Quick Brown Fox is... What's he ready for? It's Monday. He's ready for and after, ready for a cocktail. How about that? Quick Brown Fox is a drunk. Cocktail. Quick Brown Fox is ready for a cocktail, and you can see the corrections there. And of course, back to Gingerbread, so you're back to that kind of orange and gray color scheme that we've seen in past versions. So you got the, again, portrait to landscape transitions nice and fast. We'll take a look at the browser while we're at it, and you can see down here 5 home screens. You've got your call shortcut, you've got your app shortcut, and then you have Sprint ID pre-installed on this device as well. Sprint ID, one of those things I think Sprint really wanted to take off, or take off rather, and it hasn't really taken off. You've got your ID stuff, you can change your ID pack, you can get new ID packs from Sprint. Of course, the Sprint network's not detected because I'm on Wi-Fi, because it's slow as something I'm not going to say on camera. And then you've got manage ID packs as well. So it's it's one of those things. It's really nice, and they've offered some new ones over the months. They've got, I think, like an e-entertainment pack. They've got an MTV pack. If that's your thing, they've got a lot of different awesome options on there. And that combined with the price plans, I mean, there's a good value proposition to be said about going with Sprint. They've got some nice price plans. I love their everything data plans. They're pretty impressive. The fact that it bundles unlimited messaging and data in with a minutes bucket, and of course offers unlimited calling to mobile devices. Always a nice perk. There, they've got some nice options. Now here again, customizations are going to be pretty kind of ho-hum here, since there is no user interface running atop this device. You're dealing with stock Google, so you can go into widgets, for example, and you can see all the Google stuff, analog clock, calendar, Google Plus, latitude. You can come in here and see like power control, Play Store. All this stuff is stock Google, and then of course you've got visual voicemail. Now these tutorials look kind of new. I'm assuming those are just the tap and hold here, little icons that pop up when you buy the device. But you've got Google Plus, for example, again, Google Music, or Play Music now, Play Store, Power Control, we can do that one, for example, and more. So you've got a couple of different options, and of course there are additional widgets available with particular apps you download from Google Play, but you don't get that user interface. Some people are going to love this almost pure Android experience. Some people are going to hate it because they want those additional widgets that come with stuff like Sense 4, like TouchWiz 4, and things like that. But you can see it's just stock across the board. You've got your contacts here, John Rogers in here, and again, compare that to John Rogers on a device that has, I've got the 1X over here beside me. So just to give you a comparison here, obviously it's a little bit cleaner. in a lot of ways with a user interface running installed on top. So you can see the difference here. John Rogers versus John Rogers. Looks a little bit cleaner over here. You've got a nice big picture. So again, I think, in a lot of ways, user interfaces have evolved to the point where they're really helpful in a lot of cases. But if you like stock Android, you should be relatively pleased with this. But 5 home screens, like I said, your typical notifications bar here. Nothing too big. 5 unread voicemails from this weekend when I put out the number on YouTube in the video. So that's awesome. I have to listen to those voicemails at some point in the future. Let's take a look at the browser as well. We'll go to browser and take a look. Load up phonedog.com, again on Wi-Fi since Sprint's 3G has been terrible. We'll talk about that in part 2 because it is a point of contention, I think, for a lot of people that are going, maybe used to WiMAX, going back to a 3G device for a couple of months while they wait for 4G. It's something I'd take a look at in store because the 3G speeds are really, really, really poor right now. And I've seen that in several markets, not just Charlotte. I've seen it in New Orleans, I've seen it in Atlanta and Dallas and Seattle in the past couple of weeks. But you can see pinch to zoom, relatively responsive on this device. You got the pinch to zoom working pretty well, and again, a dual-core processor combined with stock Android is going to equal pretty decent performance here. So menu, you got your windows. I can easily open up a secondary window, but again, no user interface customizations here. Means it's just little text icons to go back and forth between. I don't have that preview of the browser like I do in a lot of the user interfaces, but I just posted EVO 4G LTE first impressions, for example. Those are right there, and I can easily zoom in on the pictures and then zoom back out relatively easily. So pinch to zoom, nice and responsive on this, and of course, like it's telling me to do double tap to zoom in and zoom out. So all in all, decent for web browsing. I see this device as being a great unit for somebody that maybe doesn't need, the EVO 4G LTE. They don't need all the specs. They don't need that high-end camera. They just want something to browse the web every now and again, check some emails from time to time, snap a couple of pictures, and that's it. This is going to be a good device for them because it comes in at $99.99 as opposed to the typical $200 or $300 price point that we're so used to seeing from AT&T and from Verizon.